if you guys are ready.
We are ready. We are live.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Review Aligning IT and Marketing webinar. I'm Jerry Rizzuto. Your co-hosts today for the webinar are Joel Hinton from ClickDimensions and Ian Smith from SyncraTec Solutions. As some of you might already know, Ian is the president of SyncraTec Solutions, which is a consulting firm that specializes in Dynamics 365 CRM and the implementation of ClickDimensions. They also do managed services for a number of clients.
Thank you, Jerry. So today we're going to be doing a presentation on aligning IT and marketing and the intersect of those two departments and how they can work together. We'll discuss some best practices. First, I just want to introduce SyncraTec Solutions. We're your down-to-earth Microsoft Dynamics CRM and cloud solutions provider. Today's presentation is in concert between SyncraTec and ClickDimensions, and SyncraTec is a ClickDimensions Gold partner. We also help Microsoft Dynamics CRM customers focus on implementing sales, marketing, and customer service. And now with Power Apps, we can also deliver those same kind of consulting expertise for custom business applications. We have a highly skilled and communicative, friendly CRM implementation consulting team with capabilities from business process analysis and design to data migration, system integration, and customization. We've been working with ClickDimensions for several years now, and I'd like to introduce Joel Hinton. He's a senior territory channel manager for ClickDimensions, formerly our partner account manager. I've known Joel for a long time. He's a great family man. He's a CrossFit athlete and a Spartan racer, and a good friend to have. So if you're looking for a demo of ClickDimensions, you have any questions at all, Joel's been doing this for a while, and I'd like to hand it over to him at this time. Welcome, Joel.
Awesome. Thank you, Ian, and thank you, Jerry. I really appreciate that introduction, and I'm really excited to spend the next 45 minutes or so with each of you. You know, if you were to ask my wife, she'd probably call me a digital marketing technology nerd, I guess. But I've been in the SaaS business, software as a service, for about 10 years. And really the last 5 years, I've focused on Microsoft and ClickDimensions technology. Specifically, ClickDimensions, if you are familiar, and I'll just jump here to the next slide. ClickDimensions is a marketing and sales platform that really helps companies use digital technology to acquire new customers and grow them. And really, since the inception of our business, our sole mission and purpose has really been to make Microsoft technology work for marketers, really at the end of the day, so they can create great experiences for their customers. As you can see on this slide, ClickDimensions is actually the only complete marketing solution for Microsoft Dynamics CRM, and we're made exclusively for the platform. We do combine multi-channel marketing automation technology, marketing dashboards for deeper insights into marketing results and revenue impact. And also we provide a full range of world-class support and services really designed to ensure the success for marketers at organizations that use Dynamics 365. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into the survey. Ian, if you can see this on the screen, you should be able to see that link. And that should be in the chat box as well. And we'll,
right.
Mm-hmm. It is, Joel. I just recently put it in the chat box.
Okay.
So it's a real quick survey. You should be able to breeze through this in a couple of minutes. We're just looking to see, it's actually a kind of a demo of the ClickDimensions marketing automation solution. It includes a number of different features and functionalities besides just email marketing, email blasts. So we're going to touch on some of those things, but for this case, it's a survey, and talking about the topic. We just want to know which department you represent. How well do you feel that the marketing technology has been implemented at your organization? And whether or not you believe that IT is working collaboratively with marketing, who controls the marketing data, and do marketing and IT meet on a regular basis. So see, these are some of the best practices and intersection points between IT and marketing that can really help an organization work better together. So go ahead and take that survey. You'll see it only take a minute, and we'll review the survey results at the end before we wrap up during the Q&A session. So we'll present an anonymous report of the results of that survey. So just want to go ahead and jump to the next slide then, Joel?
Yeah, yep,
Oh, wait,
we'll go.
you have everybody has the link, right? If you can't find the link, it is in the chat area. So if anybody has a problem, just raise a question in the chat.
Yeah, that's great. So we'll go ahead, and once you guys are finished filling that out, like Ian said, it is going to be anonymous, and then we'll provide those results at the end of the webinar. But it will give us some data points just from your own experience for the people that are attending, really to validate some of the things that we'll be walking through today. As you guys can see, this next slide here, it really talks about the IT and marketing relationship today. And there's some stats up there, but we really have to set a foundation and a context for the past, the present, and the future. So as you guys may know, if you guys have been in IT or the marketing side of the house, there's really been this explosion of SaaS. And if you don't know what that is, it's software as a service. It's the way technology and applications are provided to organizations like yours. It's online. Versus, typically in more traditional senses, there's a lot of, on-premise solutions, and both of these have really shaped, both of these SaaS and on-premise solutions has really shaped how these organizations, departments work with each other. Really, before SaaS, I think IT teams had, much more on-premise infrastructure, servers to manage and maintain. In many organizations, they really now focus from a SaaS standpoint, they really focus more on making software work better for different departments and organizations within the company. And that's really from evaluation to implementation and really to user adoption and ongoing use. But really on the marketing side of things, digital and inbound marketing now really rule the day. And, over the last really 10 years, we've seen an explosion of data, and data being really the king. However, this does mean that marketing is now powered by a lot of data and technology. And if you look at the landscape today within the marketing technology space, our consumers of this technology are really bombarded with options. If you look at the different options that you have out there, there's over 7,000 marketing technology solutions that you have the opportunity to pick from. So if there's 7,000 different solutions out there and each one does something different than the other, many organizations and marketing stacks continue to grow as businesses meet demands and challenges to increase sales and also customer retention. So given the state of things, if marketing really hopes to increasingly adopt, over 7,000, I'm not saying that your stack's going to be 7,000. It may be a couple. But if your organization's going to adopt these types of technologies, IT really hopes to maintain oversight into all technologies used from an organizational-wide standpoint. And, that's where these two teams really need to come together and be be one and really work together to really increase the overall efficiency and provide bigger outcomes and benefits to the organization as a whole. So as you guys can see here, the first stat, it says only 8% of marketers feel that their marketing technology has been implemented well. 8%. So if you have to evaluate that, and we did have a question on the survey about this, why is that? Why do you feel that way, that maybe your marketing technology hasn't been implemented well? Are some of the questions that come to mind that I've had recent conversations about, throughout my tenure here at ClickDimensions is, well, we were onboarded, we were provided the tools to be trained, but, we wanted more consultation as an ongoing approach. But that's just some of the things that I've heard. The second stat here is 78% of IT professionals think they work collaboratively with marketing. But on the flip side of that, only 58% of marketers agree that that's the case. Ian, what do you think about this stat in regards to, based on our experience of working together with the organizations and companies that we've worked together, do you think this is a valid stat there?
Yeah, I don't know. I would say more like 78.5 and 57.2, but seriously, it's obviously a judgment call. It's people's opinions of whether they believe that the software has been implemented effectively. And I think you touched on, there's the consultative approach to helping businesses implement the software. And if you think you've done a good job, but you're not in communication with those folks and you're not feeling their pain when they run into frustrations, then maybe you haven't done as good a job as you think.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And another thing too is, typically in the traditional sense, when you really look at the landscape between IT and marketing and IT and other departments, what I've seen is, IT has really practiced this break fix model of working together with other departments instead of collaboratively coming together and really coming around the goals and the objectives of a department. And I think, that's probably why, other departments or even marketing departments feel like, maybe they don't work collaboratively together. The next stat here, 50 to 65% of marketing executives, C-levels, really anticipate spending more on marketing technology in the coming year. Now, I would actually say this stat may be a little bit outdated, meaning that I think it's actually greater. And as we see the explosion, it's like the next shiny object in the room, or shiny ball. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, all of those things that are coming down the pipe to really put gasoline on that percentage to increase that. I can see, where we're going as really as a society, and providing predictive analytics, AI, machine learning, all these things to really become more efficient in this process. So it's going to be interesting to see how this stat continues to grow over the next 5 to 10 years with those different types of new technologies. So the benefits of aligning IT and marketing, this relationship, as we've kind of talked about, it's kind of been, I don't know, I guess you could say it's traditionally fallen into two camps. Rocky, meaning that break fix, or marketing needs some help from IT, and gosh, they have to ask IT to get them to help. When are they going to be able to do it? We have to put in a ticket, and then maybe they'll get to us in the next couple of weeks. We need this done tomorrow, all of that kind of stuff. Or the relationship is non-existent. And as an organization, these ways of the past really can't pave the way for a successful future. And I think if whether they're big organizations or not, organizations that want to perform well have to realize and come to the realization that cooperation and collaboration across these departments is really critical to the success of the organization. And the people that are on this call today, no one else is going to do it. I think it's really key and valid to say, it only takes one person to put their hand up in the room within the organizational or company meeting and just say, hey, I think we need to collaborate more as, across departments to bridge this gap. But we're going to talk about some of the biggest benefits of IT and marketing really working together. So first, you're going to have an improved customer experience. And you read that and you're probably thinking, how are you going to improve the customer experience by IT and marketing working together? Well, if you think about it, really marketing traditionally has had a role of just, enabling the sales funnel. But really what we've seen in the last, 10 years, where really marketers are really focusing now on the customer experience, advocacy, loyalty to a brand. And I think that's really important because as marketing and IT get deeper insights in the data and they're able to provide better experiences through digital marketing technology through to their customer base, they're going to provide that better experience. And as even with a survey, you're going to get feedback, and that feedback's now going to come across departments between marketing and IT, and it's really going to help them understand what's working well, what's not working well, and then IT typically can provide some of those or maintain those customer-facing technology solutions to improve that experience. Number two, we've talked about this, shift from a singular to an integrated mindset. And, IT typically is often tasked with managing individual systems rather than types of systems. And as, organizations, as they have different technology or marketing stacks, IT really increasingly moves from looking at a singular system to a more integrated mindset. It's key to be able to take all those different applications and pull them together to really make sense of the data, so you guys are able to achieve business goals and increase really organizational agility. And I think that's key. Better data management. I think this is kind of the big elephant in the room, and no one really wants to talk about this. But day in and day out, I've helped implement marketing technology and CRM solutions across many different organizations. And Ian, you could probably talk on this a lot too. And one of the biggest hindrances or things that we have to do first before we are able to provide great outcomes is make sure that the data is managed, or data hygiene is really critical to the success of an organization. Ian, I mean, you and I have worked on many projects together. I'm sure you could agree with that. And that probably should be number one.
Yeah, so, excuse me. So when it comes to data management, it's where the rubber hits the road for marketing, especially, what we're talking about, ClickDimensions being an email marketing solution. Getting the data into the system, avoiding duplicates, respecting opt-outs so that you maintain compliance, data security, making sure that people are able to see the data that need to be able to see the data, but not making it publicly available or available to everybody in the organization. Segmentation of the data, managing data imports, adding those new leads or contacts to marketing lists. We're going to do a demo at the end of the presentation today, which is a trade show scenario where we get a list from a register attendees from a trade show, like a pre-show list, and we're going to import that list into the CRM system with the ClickDimensions import tool. We're just going to show, and talk about, some of the simple ways to import data into your system to get them onto marketing lists. And there's always considerations where the cases might not be that simple, but I have a 15-minute demo at the end of the presentation today, which just shows kind of importing your data into the system, avoiding duplicates, getting the data back out of your system so that you can take it to the trade show with you, adding notes for follow-ups and information requests, and actually being able to get that data right back into the system, and then sending up any follow-up emails that you want to do. So we have a pre-show list where we're going to send a notification to the folks to let them know that we're going to be at the trade show and we're looking forward to meeting them and where they can find us. And then a post-show list where we're going to be able to follow up with those same leads and contacts. So all that together, it's an alignment of IT and marketing, because you can't just not everybody can do it all by themselves. Sometimes you need help bringing the data into the system. Sometimes they're simple imports, and sometimes they're more complicated because you want to be able to match up the data and avoid duplicates and respect the opt-outs. So there's a lot of considerations there. And it's always best to over-communicate in these circumstances where you're making sure that you're collaborating and working closely so that you maintain a high level of data integrity.
Awesome. The next point here is changing organizational culture. Now, historically, we know that typically, based on what we've talked about already and some of the stats, that the relationship between IT and marketing specifically probably hasn't been the best. But today's world, with all the marketing technology stacks available to organizations, and with just the ability to learn and having data available to learn different technologies, I think we have to realize that the IT and the marketing departments are starting to actually overlap in regards to cross-functional roles. And changing organizational culture, I actually see the day in the next 3, 5, 7, 10 years where IT is actually involved, or really a part of helping create marketing qualified leads to sales qualified leads, and really collaboratively working together. And it's like I can just picture those two teams being almost interchangeable. I know there's a long way to go, but really, I mean, if we think about it, starting this process now, I believe can actually help change and really enable the collaboration and communication across these teams. And really, at the end of the day, it's going to help your organization be more efficient and then provide better customer experiences. Number 5 is selecting and implementing the best technology. And there's many times where we'll work with some organizations out there, and we typically deal with marketers, and then technology or IT or the CTO is not involved in the process, and vice versa. We'll go into a situation where IT goes in and they want to make the decision, but then the marketing team doesn't have buy-in based on maybe features they want, or functionality, or even specific type of designers, or ease of use, or whatever it might be. So, I think it's really important as these teams come together to select and really implement the best technology for the business. It's imperative to have, what is IT looking for? What is marketing looking for? And these, the criteria for these two organizations will look different. From the IT side of the house, they're going to look at factors like integration, data security, reliability being a concern. And then, from the marketing side, it's going to be, functionality and different feature sets and ease of use and many different things. And once they come together, depending on, maybe there are two different lists of items that they're looking for, they can marry those together and come up with the best solution for the business and business outcomes. All right. So really, creativity has always been at the core of great marketing, but unlike predecessors in years past, CMOs or C-level executives and marketing heads today are also likely to be pretty technical or have some ability to drive the platform choice and operation, which really makes them more natural partners for their tech counterparts. I think this kind of sets the stage for an easier alignment between IT and marketing than in the past, because really, now that they're, and I talked about this a little bit ago about how IT and marketing are becoming a blended unit based on, marketers are no longer just marketers. They're actually technologists and data scientists. So when you have a C-level executive who may have a data scientist background or something like that, and they're able to come in and really bring these two together, I think that's going to make things a lot easier to align them. With that being said, there's still best practices for getting it right. So, one, between IT and marketing, we do have to respect differences. And these are just some of the things that we've talked about. Whereas, marketing typically focuses on driving revenue and customer retention. And then IT's priorities of security. And then also, when aligning your IT and marketing teams, it's really important to respect and acknowledge the expertise and the traits that each side brings. And then formulate a plan on how to best utilize these strengths and knowledge really for success. Number two. So with the best practices, we talked about, maybe conducting an audit. And these are just some of the questions you can ask. Now, we'll be providing this PowerPoint slide to you guys, so you guys don't have to write all these down real quick. But it's really, these are just some questions that you might want to address when you're in that meeting, or set aside a time where you can get together with someone from IT that will listen. It's also important to really document current processes that really exist between IT and marketing. And these are going to change as the two teams align and as they work, you guys work more closely together, but kind of knowing where everyone stands will really help both IT and marketing determine if it's the most effective way to move forward in the future. Number three is creating a shared vision. So, maybe while conducting an audit of the present state of your IT and marketing relationship, it's also important to map out, where we want to go and where we're going to be, or where we want to be in the next 5, 7, 10 years. Also, discuss how working together will help the organization achieve its goals. And then for each department, what are those goals? And what are the goals for each team member? And then also define the steps to get the shared vision of the future. Number 4 is agree on roles and responsibilities. I think this is a critical piece. And Ian, I know that we've been in situations where there's kind of this blur between the lines of like, oh, IT is going to do it, or oh, that's marketing's job. And typically it's in those cases where we're in a meeting and the other party's not involved. And I think you can't be rigid enough in definition of the things that need to be completed so things don't fall through the cracks. But is there an example that maybe you've experienced working with customers on this one?
Yeah, I don't I don't have any specific examples in this case, but I would say the roles and responsibilities are important. I think it's actually a very interesting question. I think a lot of times the roles and responsibilities are more or less taken for granted, and the status quo is almost like, well, this is the way we've always done it, as opposed to we're going to be talking about a meeting of the minds and saying, okay, let's actually document what the roles are, of who's doing what with the marketing processes, because some of the processes can be quite complicated and they can literally go back and forth between at least the two departments in this case, as to what the steps of the process are.
Yeah, and I think it's really, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I think there is a blur, and unless you do have that defined set of tasks for each member within the organization, things can definitely fall through the cracks there. All right, the next one, meet regularly. This is kind of a no-brainer, but I mean, I think these departments need to be in the habit of meeting regularly. I don't think this is something that has to be as frequent as weekly. Now, obviously, if you guys are doing some type of technology project, you might have weekly meetings, but I think for just an ongoing monthly meeting or whatever it might be. And listen, I am not telling you to have a meeting just to have a meeting. Go into the meeting with an agenda. If you don't have an agenda, then don't meet. But it's important to define, what the agenda is going to be or what you're looking to get help with. See if they can, these departments can come together to, provide the best outcome for the problem that you're looking to solve. And really, in this process, I think each team, IT and marketing, really should strive to better understand, the other department, and really, well, how's this going to impact IT? How's this going to impact marketing? And then really make those tasks priorities, and help each other to accomplish, kind of the project on hand. And really, I think if if these teams do come together, I think it's all part of really understanding and resolving the problems, and ultimately leading to what we're ultimately looking to do is obviously provide a better experience for our customers, our members, the people that we're serving, and through that, it's going to take the aligning of IT and marketing for sure. All right.
So Joel, we actually changed up the order here. We're going to just flip ahead to.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep.
So we can do the survey results first. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. So let's see if we have any data here for the survey. Okay, good. Thanks, folks, for filling that out. Today, we are represented in our audience. No salespeople. We do have some marketing folks and some IT folks, finance and IT, and also executive management. And I do believe there's more people on the call, so not everybody filled out the survey, which is fine. How well do you feel the technology has been implemented at your organization? I think 7 and 8 and 9 would be good. So
Yeah.
the average is 6.33, so it's kind of above average, but not great. So obviously there's room for improvement here. So that's part of the reason this the topic of this webinar came to be, and that there is food for thought. So what would you agree that IT works collaboratively? Most people would agree, and there's a couple of disagrees. So
Huh.
yeah, I mean,
That's pretty
it
good.
happens where not everybody is always working collaboratively as much as they could. Obviously, again, room for improvement. And which department controls the data? And this is interesting because more people actually say that marketing controls the data in their organization.
Wow. That's pretty that's a pretty big number.
So, I mean, marketing probably has first look at the data. They get their hands on the data sooner than the IT folks because they're closer to the process. And this is where sometimes I would say, there's simple ways to handle the data, and sometimes the simple way works best, but sometimes the simple way has shortcomings. And with all due respect, the marketing folks might not always appreciate the subtleties of the relationships in the data, and if things aren't getting populated, they might not even notice it. For example, the ownership of the records in the CRM system is key for providing security as to who can access those records. Sometimes it's the sales rep or the salesperson that gets assigned to be the owner. Sometimes it's important that the owner be in the right business unit, so that whether it's a geographical or a product line separation of the business units, that those folks are the ones that can see the data. Also, I've seen a lot of times where data gets imported into the system where the contacts are orphaned because they don't have an associated parent account. We've also seen sometimes where competitor data is loaded into the system and you end up sending your marketing information to competitors, which would be a faux pas. Also, if you're sending marketing information to sales contacts that are actually in the process of a sale, then you don't want to be bombarding them with distracting offers, for example, if they're already in the process of requesting a quote. So things like that, and there's a lot of alignment in terms of trying to match up. I would say one of the biggest challenges is trying to match up any new lead data that you're bringing into the system with existing accounts, contacts, or leads that you already have in your system. So you're bringing in new data, and what you don't want to do is you don't want to create duplicates. So that's also a challenge.
Hey, Ian, another thing on that question is, some of the crazy scenarios that I've come across is, marketing has control of that data because they're using disparate applications and no one else has credentials for that application. So it's just like often Never Neverland.
Yeah, there's a lot of times we see manual processes that, Excel spreadsheets, this direction, that direction.
Yeah.
And it can get complicated, or it could get messy, or the ultimate goal is to have everything be automated in an integrated system, but that's that's the ultimate goal is not always the easiest one to achieve. So there's a gradual process towards achieving that goal, or as much as possible. And do the departments meet on a regular basis? I mean, we deal with large companies and small companies, and in my experience, I don't know if I see a lot of regularly scheduled meetings between marketing and IT. Here it says 50%, so that's good.
Yeah, that is good.
Better than I would expect, but good. On the good side. A lot of folks moving their data and their marketing systems into the cloud now, so that's more or less to be expected. There's still some folks with on-premise infrastructure, and that will probably always be there for the foreseeable future. But it is a lower percentage. And this is an interesting one on how many systems, like you said, Joel, there's a lot of disparate systems out there. So this is an age-old problem where, like you said, chasing the shiny object of what's hot, how can I get more leads? How can I generate more sales? Here's the latest, greatest idea on how to do that, but it requires that you spin up a new system over here that's going to require some kind of integration, whether it's nightly, automatic, real time, or manual processes.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Well, thank you
guys.
Yeah,
it's just a quick survey.
Yeah, thank you guys for filling that out.
So, back to the presentation, we're up to the point now where if there's any questions, we can take them.
There is a question, Ian.
Okay.
Someone asked about, could you show or speak to an automated email thank you message? So when a follow-up message, for instance, after a sale or a donation comes in along those lines. They're wondering if you could speak to how that would work in CRM, the automated email thank you message.
Right, that is a great question. So obviously, when we're implementing a CRM system with campaign automation or marketing automation, we value questions like that highly, because this is really an opportunity to create value where you're automating your system to take advantage of the tools to bring about increased customer satisfaction. So a customer is transacting with you, and obviously a lot of times people are looking for instant gratification. They want to know that their case has been submitted, or that their ticket is being responded to, or that this transaction confirmation goes out right away. And conversely, from the customer side or the business side, you want to confirm back to that customer that you are acknowledging the sale and appreciating their business and sending out automated emails. So depending on this is really one of the beauties of ClickDimensions, and it's why SyncraTec has chosen ClickDimensions as their de facto solution, the best solution out there for marketing automation with the Microsoft Dynamics CRM system, is because they share a common database, and any data that happens in the CRM system, any events, any updates to accounts, contacts, leads, or opportunities, if you want to, you can create automated processes. So within your customization area, you can simply create workflows. So I have an example here. It's not exactly creating a thank you letter, but in this case, we're creating follow-up tasks, but they're based on workflows, and the workflows can be triggered based on an event in the system. So an event can be that an opportunity closes or a sales has just been made, and that basically you're creating a follow-up email to say, it could be a follow-up email, it could be a thank you email to say thanks for the business, and it can all be personalized. And this is just an example of how a workflow is triggered, in this case, when fields in a record change. It could be when a record is created, and then the workflow will create an email, or create, in this case, it's creating a task. You can update the contact, you can wait 30 minutes, do something else, and all that kind of process can be automated with workflows. And then also, if you want, you can go into campaign automation and add those folks to a sequence of events, which then takes into consideration more triggers. And if they then click on something else in those emails, that you would send them down another path. So there's various ways that we can automate the design of the system. This is the campaign automation area. And if I say new here, I can create a new campaign automation.
And while Ian's doing that, so you can definitely create automated emails and thank you notes, or after a donation or a purchase, but you know, you can do it in a couple ways. You can handle that through the campaign automation tool here. You can also do it natively from the CRM workflow, and you can also pull it into ClickDimensions email template there.
So right off the bat, we start with a template, and we have an automation here. And you can just see it's like a flow chart, and whatever the trigger is, and then we send them a couple of emails, and we wait for them to register for an event. And then when they do register, we send them a thank you email. So it's just one example of how that can work. But obviously this whole process is customized to whatever your process is.
Okay, we have another question asking about multi-factor authentication, adding security, and then sending emails through ClickDimensions. I don't know if either of you can speak to that.
Well, I can show you just real quick here, when we go to ClickDimensions settings, that we are set up for multi-factor authentication, and that's the service account of the account that's signed into the ClickDimensions system. So this is definitely set up for multi-factor authentication. So it's not just a simple username and password. You do have to sign in with a Office 365 global admin to authenticate with your ClickDimensions service credentials. What was the second part of that question, Jerry?
If there's been any issues identified with that, sending emails through ClickDimensions when you're added, security, you have multi-factor authentication turned on.
No, I've had multi-factor authentication turned on for probably about only 3 to 4 months, because I didn't need it until then. But we were cutting down on the number of licenses, and I had my own. I had a separate account in there, which didn't have multi-factor, and then I decided to use my own account, which does have multi-factor. So I've been using that now for several months with no issues sending emails.
Okay.
And also from our internal team, we eat our own dog food. So, I mean, we have multi-factor authentication internally as a company, and I haven't seen any issues arise with multi-factor.
Okay. And then another question, how much of the ClickDimensions configuration is typically done by IT versus marketing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, from my perspective, you know, through and Ian, I mean, we've onboarded and taken customers through, you know, everything from you know, meeting with customers and really understanding their processes and doing an evaluation of what they currently use, where they want to go, all the way from, you know, implementing a solution together to installation, and then, you know, user adoption and training, and then you know, ongoing success of the platform. You know, I think it just depends on the two organizations or the people within those organizations, depending on their levels of expertise. But typically, I mean, you would probably say, and I would probably say, that IT typically has some upfront, you know, involvement in the setting up of C names and DNS records and SPF records and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a collaboration, and different organizations will authorize either marketing or IT to take the lead. So I've been in both camps where either organization takes the lead, but the best implementations are where it's a collaborative effort, and you know, marketing knows what they want from their side, and IT's job normally would be to help facilitate that. If there is there any more questions? Because I can jump into the demo, and you guys, you know, feel free to drop off. I will be providing the demo in a video separately. But if you want to hang in there, this demo just takes about 15 minutes. I've practiced it about a half a dozen times, so I know I can get through it in 15 minutes. We would run over the hour time frame, but the recording is not going to stop, and you'll be able to see firsthand kind of this trade show process that I've come up with, which is just an example of a scenario. It's not the only scenario, obviously, but it's kind of cool because it does walk us through importing data using the ClickDimensions import tools, and it shows how some of those, well, it shows the capabilities of that import tool, and then we will do a quick review of an email template with the email editor of the ClickDimensions system, and then an email send. So we'll walk you through the whole process in about 15 minutes. And you'll be able to answer or ask questions as we go. So it might be, you know, enlightening if you haven't seen it before, just to kind of, you know, work inside the CRM system and view kind of how we would build up a process just to address this one scenario. But it's not everything, but you can't do everything that ClickDimensions has to offer inside the CRM system in 1 hour or 1 day. There's a lot of different parts of it. And just to wrap things up, any other closing comments, Joel, or any other questions, Jerry, coming in?
No, you answered all the questions, Ian.
No, thank you guys for joining us, and if you do have the opportunity to stick around, this is going to be a great demo. So
yeah, we'll let Joel get
Ian.
back. Joel is out in Fargo, North Dakota today, so I hope he brought his wool socks with him.
Yes, I did, and there are ClickDimensions logos on them.
Nice. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and walk through the demo, so everybody's welcome to hang around. I promise that it will be quick and efficient, and I promise I'm praying to the demo gods and giving that it will go smoothly. So again, thanks, Joel, for joining us and being our featured presenter today, and we're gonna keep going now for those that want to hang in there. All right, so this is, like I said, a pre-show process. So what I'm showing here is just a couple of marketing lists, and as of right now, we don't have any members on those marketing lists. So what happens typically with a trade show is you would get a pre-show list of attendees. So in this case, we have first name, last name, company name, job title, email address, phone number. And this process really only works if they are providing you with emails. I know not all trade shows will provide you with an email address up front on that list. But let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to do next. We're going to want to load that pre-show list into these marketing lists. So this pre-show marketing list. In order to do that, we're going to use the ClickDimensions import tool. And the first thing you do with that ClickDimensions import tool is you download an Excel template. So this is just one of the ways you can get the data into the CRM system, and it is a way that marketing can proceed somewhat independent from IT, because this is a fairly simple process to load the data into the system. So this is an example of a ClickDimensions import template. So I already have one started here, so let me just pull that one up. So this one's been populated to some extent with the data from that trade show list, the pre-show list that I just showed you previously. So we have first name, last name, email address, company. We would typically have job title, and owner, and any other information that they will be providing on that pre-show list. So as we proceed, we're going to take a file that has been formatted in that way from the template, and we're going to upload it. Okay, so actually, this data is somewhere else. All right, so we upload the file. So these are the important fields. We don't want to overwrite existing data in our CRM system with data from a third-party trade show list, which we're not sure of the integrity of the data in that system and whether it's any better than the data we have in our CRM system. We would like to think that the data we have in our CRM system is better. So we're just going to fill in where we don't have data and the data is populated in the marketing, the pre-show list. We will fill in those blanks. And here this is the kind of the beauty of the ClickDimensions import tool, is that it matches looking for existing contacts with a matching email address. And if it doesn't find an existing contact with a matching email address, it'll look for an existing lead with a matching email address. And if it finds neither a matching contact with the same email address nor an existing lead with a matching email address, then you have your choice of creating either a new contact or a new lead. And we would always recommend in this case to create new leads, because of the fact that if you try and create new contacts and the company name doesn't match up with the account name that you have in your CRM system, you're going to create orphan contacts, which is one of those subtleties that I mentioned earlier, where you can just kind of keep going and not realize that you're doing that and end up with a whole bunch of data that's really not of the highest integrity, because they're orphan contacts in your CRM system without a parent account. Just a little bit of housekeeping here. I need to add an owner to the records in the system. And this is another thing that I mentioned, that it's important to have the right owner of the data in your system for security and other purposes. So the owner might be the salesperson, or it might, as long as they're in the department where they're in the right business unit, then you'll know you're on the right track in terms of providing that right ownership of the data. So this is also part of the beauty of the ClickDimensions import tool, is that you're not just importing the leads or contacts into your CRM system, but you're also adding them to a marketing list on the fly. So I'm going to go ahead and add to the pre-show list for leads. And there's one marketing list for leads and one marketing list for contacts. This is the one for contacts, and I'm going to add them to the pre-show list. Okay, next. And this is just going to give me an email notification when the import is finished. Okay, so while we wait for that to bake, it's going to take about 3 or 4 minutes. I'm going to go over and do a quick presentation of the email templates. So again, our purpose here in this scenario is to say that we're sending an advanced greeting to the folks that we hope to meet at the trade show. So looking forward to seeing you at the show. We'll be at this booth number. Please be sure to stop by and say hello. This is a drag and drop editor. There's several different editor types, from the simplest type to the more sophisticated type, which would be custom HTML. This is a middle level complexity type editor. So to me, it's a good combination of being user friendly and also with the best capabilities. So just adding a header graphic, a headline to say, see you at the show, some personalization here. And these are almost just like blocks, and as you can see that there's a lot of controls to edit each area, whether it's a text block or a graphic block or a button type thing with a hyperlink, another graphic, and then your social media sharing capabilities. We can test and preview the email inside the template. This is not a full-blown demo of the ClickDimensions email marketing, but it's just a real quick to show you that what an email template would look like inside the CRM with ClickDimensions. So once that's ready to go, we can test the template, but more importantly, then we would get to the actual email send, which is like the email blast. So with the email send, we would pull in the template that we just designed. We would confirm the subject line and the pre-header line, which is just the second line of the subject line to get people curious about what your email is all about, who the record is coming from, and what the from email, and whether or not the reply to email is the same, whether or not we want to send it immediately or schedule it to be sent at a later date. Again, we can do some testing prior to the final send, and these are the email addresses that you can quickly enter. This is like a quick test, and then you can do a full-blown test where you actually add whole marketing lists that are full of test users at your organization. But here you see the email is all ready to send. We can test it. We can send it. There's a lot of other features that we would cover in a more lengthy demo of all the featured functionality. This is just a trade show process demo, so this is part of the trade show process. So now we're going to go back to our marketing lists and hit refresh. As of right now, there were no members in here previously. I hit refresh. I can see that we have the members in here now, and we're going to, now our objective, since we've presumably as part of the demo scenario, we have taken the marketing list, and I forgot to show you during the actual email send, we do add those marketing lists that we just created and populated. We would add those marketing lists right here to, it's just spinning for a second. Okay, well, those marketing lists are right here. And you can add as many marketing lists as you want to mix and match. But basically, we have presumably done that email send. And now what we want to do is we want to take that list from your trade show, and we want to bring that with us, take that list from the marketing list and bring us with us to the trade show. And there's a little trick here. You don't go to members, you go to related contacts, and what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to export this list to an Excel spreadsheet. And the reason we're going to do this is because we want to bring this list with us, and just, it's a super simple way to populate data associated with each one of those leads or contacts, and then be able to re-import that data into the system when you come back from the trade show, so that you can assign follow-up phone calls, follow-up tasks, activities, conversation history, or any notes that you had when you met those folks at the trade show. So I'm just going to go ahead and populate some sample data. So I have a couple of custom fields here. So there is a little bit of customization that we did to make this magic happen. And what it's going to do is when we re-import this list, it's going to create a follow-up task, and it's going to create a note for each one of these folks on the list here that have these custom fields populated. So it's just a simple fields that say, do we want to follow up with this person because we met them at the trade show? Yes. Which trade show did we meet them at? The Miami Beach Boat Show. And what is going to be the follow-up action? Well, this person is ready to buy. So it's a great way to, get that information right back into your system. I'm going to close it. And at the same time that we re-import this data into the system, we're going to add them to the post-show marketing list. So it will kill 2 birds or 3 birds in one stone, because we're going to add a note that we had a conversation with this person. We're going to create a follow-up activity on the fly for that same contact, and then we're also going to add them to the post-show marketing list. So the way we do that is we just go to our import tool, and now a little bit different here. This is going to be the out-of-the-box CRM import tool versus the ClickDimensions import tool. So I'm just going to go to imports, and you're going to see how blazingly fast this is because it's a super simple import. You don't have to do any mapping. And the reason that works so well is because when we exported this list, it came with the GUID, which allows for the records to match up automatically. All the field names are going to be predetermined and mapped. And it's obviously going to know which entity it is that these, in fact, in this case, are contacts. So I just go ahead and click on Import Data. And then I just have to find that file that I just saved off. Put it in the wrong place. All right, there's the one from today. Okay, and we are ready to go. And that's literally how quick it is. If we want to see it in action, we can see the imports happening as we speak. So here it's been submitted. I'm just going to hit the refresh button. Submitted, submitted. Should only take a couple of seconds. Parsing. You can see 20 total records. Parsing. It's a little bit slower than usual today. Parsing. Okay, so this would normally only take 30 seconds, but today it's going to take 60. Not sure why it's taking so long. Okay, transforming, importing. Okay, so now that we've got 16 successful imports, I'm going to click on the list, and I'm going to go to the successfully re-imported records. I'm going to select those 16 records, and I'm going to add them to our post-show marketing list. Okay, and now we're basically finished, but I want to show you what we did. So I'm going to go over to our original marketing list of lists here. And we can see now that we have records populated on our post-show list. And we look at the related contacts here. And we can see that the follow-up note has been populated, which is good. But what's really good about it is that when we go to that record, trying to click it, double click it. Okay, so we see in the timeline that a note has been created, and just now you can see the timeline that at 12:10 a new task has also been created. So when we go to this record, we're going to have the follow-up note that this person's ready to buy or interested in new product info as an information request, and that there will also be a task for the same thing. So if we just go and look at all of our tasks now, we can see that we created these tasks today and that they have a due date and which contacts they're regarding, and we can drill down into those tasks. And that this one is a hot lead. So you have a trade show process there that allows you to import a pre-show list into your marketing lists, send a welcome email, and export that same list, take it with you, fill out the Excel spreadsheet with some simple notes, and be able to bring that Excel spreadsheet back. And you saw how simple it was to re-import those records back into your CRM and create the follow-up activities and conversation notes on the fly. And then basically you have everything as part of a simple trade show process. So again, it's just an example. There was some customization that I did behind the scenes. I alluded to it earlier that there was a couple of workflows and a couple of custom fields, but other than that, this is an out-of-the-box, a little bit of customization, but the ClickDimensions import tool would be out of the box if you had the ClickDimensions solution, and then the CRM import tool was also out of the box. And you saw, we got all that done in 15 minutes, and it's a pretty powerful tool, but it just shows you that it's a tool that can be used by folks that don't have any advanced, data integration, programming expertise. There are cases where there is more expertise that is required to get data into the system, but this is just an example of one case where you can do it the easy way, and oftentimes it's sufficient to get you 80 to 90% of the way of there what you need. So hopefully that was good demo for everybody. Let me know if there's any questions. This video will be posted shortly, so you'll be getting notification about that. And any questions?
No, Ian, that was great, and it just goes to show you how important it is to really build that relationship between IT and marketing so you can create processes like this.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, everybody, for attending, and hope we get a chance to talk soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Have a
Joel.
great day.
Take
See
care.
ya.
Bye.